Hello and welcome to the fourth installment of Jackie's Review. Today I'm gonna review Village by Inka and Markus Brand. It's a game distributed in the US by Tasty Minstrel Game. It won the famous Kennerspiel des Jahres in 2012. And it's a worker placement game in which your workers can age and die in the wheel. Plays in an hour to an hour and a half. It's for 2 to 4 players. As usual, I will not go through a detailed explanation of the rules. You can find them in the box if you decide to buy the game, or in other reviews on BGG. What I will try to do is to just give you a general overview of what the game is about, and then try to describe what is good and what is not good about it. So let's move to the game. This you can see here is the board. Very colorful, very nice art all over the board. So every turn of the game you will have this board populated with cubes of different colors, and they will go into these circular spaces that you see here on the board. Basically, what makes this game interesting is that these cubes are both your resources and your actions. So depending on the number of players, there will be a different amount of cubes on the board. But to take an action, you have to take one cube from a particular circle. So if you take a cube from here, you're taking a yellow action. If you could take it from here, you're taking this action, and so forth and so on. But at the same time, you're accumulating resources that you can spend. And every place you see a cube on the board, here or here, it means you have to spend that amount of cubes to take that action. So you're trying to balance taking the action that you want when you want, before your opponents or before the cubes run out, and trying to get the resources that you need. Things you can do in the game are very different and all very interesting. You can produce stuff from buying a horse or a cow to building a wagon, a scroll, a plow, and you do this by taking this cube and taking the corresponding action. The interesting thing is that you have two ways to take the action. One is just paying the cost in cubes. The other is to train a guy, a little meeple of yours, and place it there. And from there on, you can have it can have whatever it's produced here, it's cows or horses, without having to pay the cost in materials, in this case, grain. But the downside is that your time track on your little personal board will move. And this is what makes Village unique. Your people will age and die. Every time the track goes around, one of your guys marked with a 1 will die. And you can get new guys. You start with 4 1s. If you go here, you will gain a 2. And then when you have gained all your 4 2s, you can gain your 2 3s and your 2 4s. So you have to balance the will to use time instead of resources with two considerations. First, if you kill your workers, you will not have more workers to do stuff. But second, and most importantly, at the end of the game, your workers placed in specific spots on the board will be worth points. And let's see what else you can do. You can move forward in a clergy career. You can start a political career and move forward in the ranks of the city hall. Or you can send your people traveling around, and you spend resources and time and wagons to travel to different spots. So the reason you do all of this is, of course, to gain points at the end of the game. On top of this, you have the Chronicle book, that is both the timer of the game and an important source of points. When it is full, you will end the game all of a sudden. So you want to keep an eye on the rhythm with which this is filled, because if it's full, you have no more time to play anything else. But most importantly, when your people die, depending on the section they die in, they will be placed in the book. Surprise is the space in the books is limited. So if your guy wants to die and this is in the village, the yellow spot that we saw before, and this guy here dies and you have to remove him, and he should go into the village. He will go instead in the unmarked grave. At the end of a game, people in the unmarked grave are worth nothing, while people in the Book of Chronicles are worth points depending on how many you have there. And since the ending scores are around 40 to 50 points, you can understand that getting 12 points or instead of 4 can be a big difference, or instead of nothing. So in the beginning of the game, you want to keep your people in strategic places doing nice stuff, but later on you will want to kill them as soon as possible to force the end of the game upon your opponents and to grab the precious spots in this book. Other things you can do is in the civic career you can gain first of turn resources, scrolls, or pay money to get points. When you take this action, you can either move your people forward by paying resources or just taking a little benefit. So this is very versatile place. I already spoke about the traveling aspect. Look at this very nice board. You can gather grain, you can get gold in the village by converting grain, and the last thing you can do is going to the market. There will be customer tiles coming out, and you will be able to buy them in exchange for resources. So after this quick overview of the game, it's time for my final opinion on this and try to give you an idea of what I think is in this game. So first of all, the components. As you probably have guessed from my previous rambling, I really enjoy the components and the graphic of this game. Some people have issues with the board being nice but not functional. I never had a problem with any player that I have taught the game to. They always understood everything that was going on. The illustrations are clear. The cubes are standard cubes, but the other components are very nice and pretty, sturdy cardboard, and simple but very precise illustrations. You have gold tokens that are, again, simple but nice and quite solid. And your meeples are standard meeples. Yes, when you take them out of the bag, they don't have the stickers on them, so you will have to spend some time preparing the game. But that's a one-time issue. Then you can enjoy the game over and over again. In terms of gameplay, some of the things in the game appear to be a little clunky. You place stuff to do stuff later on, and it's a little slow, but all the mechanic of the time and the aging people is very brilliant. It adds a currency in a certain sense, but it's a currency that can be good or bad for you, that sometimes can be used, sometimes cannot be used. Is very interesting, and it gives you not much in terms of team. I don't think that you are never worried about your people dying. You actually sometimes want them to die fast enough to find space in the book, but it creates an additional balance problem about when do I start caring for my people to stay on the board, and I move to the phase in which I want them to die as soon as possible. And this builds on top of a more standard mechanic of when do I stop building my engine and I move toward bringing home the points. So these two things are very interesting, and the aging mechanic also works in competition with others. So it's a currency that is only worth something if you can spend it before other people. And there are different ways to score points. You could win the game, and it has been done without any guy going into the book, or without scoring at least the minimum level of points in the books. I used to think that traveling was very important, because you can score up to 18 points if you reach all the 6 points on the traveling board. But that's not true. You can win the game without traveling. You can get points in both the church and the city hall. So it has that variety of points that is typical of salad point games, but all the actions feel more interconnected than, say, in games of another designer that I really like, that is Stefan Feld. When you pick something, you are always building towards other things, and sometimes you have to take one action before taking another one. So there is definitely an interconnection of mechanics from one spot to the other, and you cannot just think of doing always the same thing, because you will run out of resources or run out of options. Also, if you focus on just one thing, you're leaving a bunch of points out for grab for everyone else. Some points are more steady and reliable, other points are a little bit of a gamble, like the market. People can always snatch stuff from you from the market. Getting in the political career can be very expensive, and if you go into the church career, in the clergy, you are not even sure that your meeple will come out of the mass bag, that is this black bag in which there are monks that you don't want to see, because it means they are going to the mass and leaving your character behind, apparently. So there is a little bit of randomness, but not much, and there is a very interesting process. You have a certain control on the number of actions you can take. At a certain point you can start spending 3 cubes of the same color to take an action that has already been depleted of cubes, but normally you are limited to what is on the board, so there is a limitation of actions, like in a worker placement game. And I think with 2 it suffers a little bit. I like it, still like it, I play it with 2 most of the times, but I think that with 4 it's a sweet spot. It doesn't get too long, because with 4 players you still are comfortably beneath the 90 minutes mark, and the game is very, very brilliant. I have not seen any other game successfully implement an aging mechanic for the workers. They always care for us to feed them or to protect them from enemies in games like Archon, Glory and Machination, but they never age. And this is really a fundamental genealogy of a family. You go through 4 different generations and everything works fine. So I really, really like Village, and I suggest you all to check it out. That was my review. Bye!